Um, it's just as important as learning the plays. Learning your guys. Learning their strengths, their weaknesses, how they communicate. What words resonate with them. So, been building my relationships with the guys on and off the field. It's been great working with the new guys that came in and teaching them, the standard of how we play here with the Niners. And everybody's pretty much getting behind that and flowing in that direction.
What about Siegel, the rookie? What have you seen from him so far?
See, man, that boy explosive, man. He fast, can jump. I don't know if y'all seen his backflip the other day. Jumped about 10 feet in the air, So he's been good, man. Very, he pays attention to a lot of the little things, and always come up to me and ask me questions about whether it's scheme-wise, whether it's, my daily routine, whether it's what I'm doing after practice. He always want to be included and be around that. So he's been doing great, bonding with the guys and coming along.
You deal a lot with Jason Pinnock. How has that chemistry been going?
Been good, man. I'm glad JP's here. Been doing a great job together, man, working together and communicating. Seen a lot of great things from him. Another great player we added to the safety room, and it's going to be exciting to work with him, too.
He's had some game experience. Have you learned some things from him? Has he been a...
Yeah, he has, he's a converted corner, so he has some great coverage, So I've been paying attention to how he covers tight ends and how he covers receivers, and he has some things you can definitely pick up on.
You had an ankle issue in the spring. Was that something that bothered you throughout the season? When did that kind of come on?
Yeah, it was something that bothered me throughout the season. Handled that in the off season. Now I'm feeling better from that.
After your rookie season, the way you finished, interception in the Super Bowl, how do you look back on year two? Are you happy with how things went, or you see areas where you can kind of focus in on and improve here in year three?
Yeah, coming out of year one with the Super Bowl and going into year two was definitely challenging as far as my preparation and off season. We dealt with, had an injury in the Super Bowl, dealt with. So came back year two, trying to get things going and kind of picked up on it a little slower. Didn't like my year two as well as I wanted it to go. But it was a lot of learning, a lot of growth going on in that year that I got to see. It was different out there playing with a different set of guys. And I learned a lot from my year two and then look forward to year three.
The year two was more physical or not being healthy enough, or was your mindset just not where it should have been?
No, I think my mindset was where it should have been. I think it was other, factors that played in, and wasn't allowing me to play to my full potential that I know I can play at. And my standards pretty high, so I fell short of that.
How do you feel about just where you're setting things up now for year three?
I'm loving it. I love where I'm at mentally, physically. I love where I'm at from a communication standpoint with the defense. My demeanor, my posture, everything is different.
About how Robert Saleh's, what kind of influences he had on you going into this camp?
I heard a lot of great things about Saleh. When I didn't get a chance to work with him his first go around here, but coming in, I heard a lot of great things about him, and he's continuing to prove all those great things I heard about him. Definitely a smart mind, definitely somebody I can learn from, and looking forward to working with him this year.
As part of the challenge, I know you were close with Steve Wilkes. That change from defensive coordinator, was that part of the challenge last year?
Yeah. Steve Wilkes was one of my guys. Was different, my second year going into with a new DC, different style, different messages. But yeah, it was different.
Like how different has your approach been to this year? I mean, you get the surgery, you get that behind you, you recover, now you're out there with Robert Saleh, I should say. Is there a different feel to training camp this year for you, or is it kind of the same as each year?
No, each year you want to get better, look for different things you can learn because there's always room for growth. So this year I focus more on offenses, learning what I'm getting out of different sets. You know, I spent time in a quarterback room. I spent time in a wide receivers room. So getting to see how they are trying to attack us and learn their scheme as well. And it's allowed me to, grasp the overall game to what's going on while I'm out there in real time.
Mayor, what has Gus Bradley added to your guys' room?
Gus, my guy, man. Gus, one of the better philosophers I've been around coming up in the sport. The way he sees it, the way he visualizes the game, the players that he's encountered through his career, he has a lot to teach me, and I've been, staying close to Gus, being that he is one of the OGs in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, what was your Super Bowl injury, and how long did it bug you that off season?
I had some nerve pain in my shoulder from when I hit Kelsey. That kind of lingered, for some months, and trying to get back and get my strength back from that, slow things down. But yeah.
Was that late in the game? Their hit on Kelsey?
That was probably like fourth quarter.
Last one, Nick. You mentioned going into the quarterback room. What are you looking for? What are you asking, like, while you're watching tape with, like, Brock, and you're asking questions about what they're seeing? What is that like?
Yeah, I don't ask too many questions. I do a lot of listening, listening to Cal speak, listening to Brock rebuttal, and macking them, guys, hearing them talk, and how they're trying to manipulate cover 3, cover 4, and just paying attention to what they see from the defense, and knowing exactly where they're going to go depending on defensive leverage and defensive scheme or play call.
You started doing that in training camp or
That
during
was
spring?
that was OTAs.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Yep, thank you. Absolutely.
Ricky coming in too soon, guys.
What's going on, y'all?
Obviously, they're doing this in your best interest, but how difficult is it not to get out there for every rep?
It's definitely difficult, just being a competitor, going out there, and not getting as many reps as I'm usually used to getting. It's tough, but, it's part of the plan right now, so I'm just sticking to it.
When did you injure the hamstring originally?
I don't remember the exact date when I did it. I just know it was right before OTAs, and, it was on me. It was doing some extra stuff after practice, so.
Were you working with Brock at that point?
No, I was just doing stuff on my own, yeah.
Do you feel like the work that you did with Brock in the off season, whether it was Florida or Arizona, was beneficial, that you're further along than you would have been without it?
No, for sure. I definitely think so. Going over there and just trying to get on the same page, communicate, different landmarks I need to be at during, different times of, his drop back, and just continuing to rep that and getting better and better with it. And then obviously just building, the actual relationship as a whole.
You go from your rookie season where you had to go through a few things, but it was Debo here, it was Jawan here, it was Brandon Ayuk here. Fast forward to this year, they're looking at you as one of the guys to actually produce, to actually be one of the main targets for Brock Purdy. How are you kind of approaching that? How exciting is that? Is it pressure behind that? Like, where's your head with that?
To be honest, I'm approaching it the same exact way, whether those guys are in the room or not. That's just how I look at myself. I just got to be able to step in that role. That's just how I look at it. I look at myself as, being able to be a guy that goes out there and makes plays. And whether they're there or not, that's how I look at myself. But it's always good to have those guys out there with me, so, we're even a bigger threat over there on offense.
Issues have been a function of overtraining, doing a little too much?
Yeah, I wouldn't honestly necessarily call it hamstring issues in the first place. Maybe something, is a little uninlined in my body right now, and it was just working on that with the trainers, and I think that we got a really good plan moving forward right here. I've been feeling really fresh, really good running around out there, so we're continuing to build on that.
Ricky, you look stronger and probably a little bit more sudden this year. What did you learn last year about what it takes to get open in this league?
No, for sure. It's the best of the best, and there's a lot of one-on-one opportunities out there, and you got to win your matchups. And, that's my biggest takeaway is, going into the off-season, having a good few last games and just building off of that and continuing to take that confidence, continue to expand my knowledge inside the playbook and Shanahan's offense. And, just, like you said, getting quicker and working on my routes, working on, going to Florida with Brock and doing things like that.
How big a deal were those last couple of games just for I'm sure you had the belief, that you belonged and could do this, but, to have hard evidence, that you could do it.
No, for sure. It's important to me. Being a receiver, the ball's not always coming your way. And that's just what the position takes. Sometimes it just doesn't come your way. And that was kind of happening to me in the middle of the season. And, towards the end of the season, when I was getting a bigger role, I started seeing the targets come my direction. It's continue building up that confidence. It's kind of like in video games when you get your little takeover badge. That's what it feels like in the middle of the game. Me and Russ were just talking about that, so that's why I brought that up. You got to play video games more.
When the season ended, you were talking about that you were going to use like the few months in the off season to process what happened in San Francisco. Did you get through that? Did you revisit it mentally, do anything in terms of pace? What did you do?
Unfortunately, I revisit that every single night I go to bed, and I kind of just carry that with me. And now I think it's not as much of avoiding it or revisiting it and not revisiting it. It's more of how I deal with it, and the light that I put on it. And for me, it's more of a positive light and the things that I can get out of that, in more of a positive direction, and try to inspire other people and stuff like that. But as far as my own personal stuff, I've been doing a better job of dealing it with myself. So.
Is Miracle Academy related to that at all?
I'm sorry, what?
Your hat?
Oh, nah, this is a different brand. Yeah, I like the hat, so I got it, but it has nothing to do with it. Nah, I guess I could make out of something. I don't know. If I knew this is the hat I had on, I probably would have just answered a different way. But
Is that a video game?
nah, this ain't a video game. No, we'll go over that after. You got to really learn your takeoff badge, though. Takeover badge.
Veteran guys, DeMarcus Robinson, Russell Gage brought to your wide receiver room.
Yeah, no, they brought a lot of experience, obviously. They got a lot of knowledge in the game. So, going into year 2 and just trying to get as much knowledge. I like as a receiver, you get to steal a bunch of different things from a lot of different good receivers, and being able to pull their film up and seeing the success that they had, and on different teams, or Russ in the past and DeMarcus in the past, and stealing a few things from those guys, and just picking their minds and going out there and having fun with them.
Kubiak was saying the other day, he felt like toward the end of the year, you really took a big leap in terms of dealing with man coverage. I assume as you saw more of that, you got more used to it. But what are the things that you did that helped you do that? And then this offseason, what did you attack to make you even better in that?
No, for sure. I feel like, in the beginning of the season, it was definitely difficult for me, just dealing with multiple injuries, going through, the incident that happened and I just felt like I was behind the 8 ball. I like to tell this, I like to say that I rolled out of bed and started running routes because, I damn near did. You can't really, rehab a gunshot wound, you know what I mean? So I basically rolled out of bed and started running routes week 7 or week 8. So, just continuing to get those reps, I think it was for me, that from that week 7 on, it was like that was my training camp. Those practices in between before the games, that was like my training camp for me. So expanding on that, getting with Brock and trying to get the man coverage looks that I would have got in training camp and trying to deal with that and figure it out. A lot of success comes from a lot of failure. So you gotta be able to fail and learn from that in order to actually have success. So I think that's something I did. That's why I like to say I'm a practice player and I love practicing because going out there you get to try shit and you get to learn from that. I just cuss. I realize that. That's just how I talk. But yeah, moving forward, in man coverage, just continue to work on it and continue to work on my game, man, moving forward.
You're just curious, the fact that you've had to deal with a few things that kept you off the field a little bit, which of course bothers any player. And then Brandon and I, you kind of going through the same thing. You guys' injuries staunchly different, but has you guys' relationship evolved at all? Have there been any conversations with each other to try to keep each other focused going through these injuries? Or
yeah, no, for sure. I think that's something that's really special, when you have a good relationship off the field is you're able to, rely on each other when it comes to that. And you're able to talk, you're able to hang out in the locker room and discuss those kinds of things because, especially like in our society being a man in general, it's hard to talk about your feelings to another man. So I think that's like really important when you're comfortable enough to be around each other and, talk about those things and check up on each other and, see how, you're doing off the field, not even just like, your injury wise and how your mental is doing. So things like that are super important to us. And, I knew BA before, I got here and we spent a year together over at ASU. So I knew, that we had a relationship already going, but being able to expand on it now and having, a little bit of similar situations as far as going through, injuries and, tragic things like that. But, he's doing a really good job and, I'm excited to get on that field with him when he's ready to go.
What do you think of the young guys, Watkins, Nair specifically? What do you think of those guys?
Yeah, I've been really impressed by those guys. They're going through the same stuff I was going through last year. It's actually really funny to see it now because I was making the similar mistakes or getting similar coaching points from Hank, and they're doing a really good job dealing with it, going out there and fixing the stuff that they need to fix on, and getting the playbook down. I've been really impressed by those guys. Trying to get those details down, and like yourself said, Jordan. He's really impressed me so far.
You generally been very upbeat, but was there a low moment on the field for you last year?
What?
A low moment for you on the field where you're like, damn, this isn't working out, this sucks, whatever.
Yeah. I've had that in life, everybody's had that, but my problem is so small compared to, what the bigger problem out there and what other people get to deal with, So I never really get too low, I would say. I really just have the similar mindset as I'm on this grass right now, I get to wear this logo, I get to breathe, I'm excited for all those things, versus maybe not the ball coming my way, cool, well, that comes with being a wideout. There's so many things, different aspects that go into that, but if I continue to work my butt off, continue to run, full speed routes and, continue to get with Brock and expanding on the playbook, the ball's gonna start coming my way naturally, so it's about what I do with it, the opportunities that come.
What's it like catching a pass from Mac?
From Mac, it's awesome. For me, it's all reactive. When the ball's in there, I'm gonna snatch out there. So I don't really see too many differences. As far as sometimes I get back to the huddle, I'm like, who threw that pass? You know what I mean? And I just get to talking about the route. But yeah, it's really good. Mac's a great dude. He's hilarious. Yeah, I wish you guys could see him in the locker room. He's hilarious.
You mentioned earlier this year that you would want to extend an olive branch to the person who shot you. I'm curious if you've had an opportunity to do that, to reach out or anything like that.
Oh, I haven't. I know I know Aaron Banks, his uncle or something like that. One of his family members is in the juvenile system somewhere. But he told me that there was an opportunity to do that, and that's something I'll probably do, moving forward. Maybe not right now, just because there's a lot of other things that I want to focus on that are my priorities. But when it gets to that point where, I can sit down and talk to the kid, maybe I want to first see if he's open to it, because, that's also important to me. If he's not open to it, then, it's not even going to be a thing. So, but, it's definitely an opportunity that I'll probably do moving forward at some point.
And this might have been answered last year, but just to follow up on that, did he know you were a knife or no?
I have no idea. I don't know what he knew or where the situation was. I just knew, the outcome of it, and that's just what I had to deal with. Yep. Appreciate you. Dude, you gotta get on Madden. I can't believe you haven't been on Madden. You never had or even 2K. You haven't.